Anton Dimnik believes that, in most organizations, the language of persuasion is the language of accounting and finance. HR professionals need to speak this language to get their voice heard, says the president of Vednost, an accounting and finance educational organization. Anton met up with Canadian HR Reporter TV to discuss why HR professionals need to have a solid understanding of finance. Why should HR professionals concern themselves with finance?
Well, one of the things that HR professionals have long talked about is sitting around the executive table and being part of the senior management team. Accounting and finance is absolutely essential to be sitting around at that table. Unless you have the basics of accounting and finance, unless you understand the language and the concepts, you really can't fully participate. And you sort of stay in your HR bunker then. So if you really want to be a business partner, you have to talk the language of business, and that's the language of accounting and finance. You have to understand the basic concepts. The second reason is that HR is constantly trying to get resources from senior management to get people to buy into projects, to buy into proposals. You have to do a business case, and if you don't have the basics of accounting and finance, you can't do a proper business case. So those are the two reasons. Sitting around the table, participating in senior management discussions, being part of the strategic process, and the second one, building better business cases.
Should employers be bringing in someone to educate their HR professionals?
I think there's a recognition by HRPA that HR professionals have to have that training, and it is part of the professional training that HR people get. But I think in the last few years there's a recognition that you need more, and that means that means not just doing. For accounting and finance, you need somebody to help you overcome the obstacles in learning. It's like learning another language. It's one thing to get a book, or it's one thing to go on the internet, but you have to immerse yourself, you have to understand the basics before you can actually learn on your own.
What is a finance preoccupation, and why should HR know about it?
We've gone through some tough financial times, and the tougher the financial times are, the more emphasis there is on financial issues. So when you talk about cost cutting, you talk about effective use of capital, you need financial discipline. And so the preoccupation in the last few years, and I think continuing forward, is making good use of your capital, managing your costs, putting your money where the money is going to have the biggest benefit. And again, HR people are saying we should make an investment in training, or we should make an investment in finding better people, or we should, a number of things that HR people do with long-term implications for the company. HR people have to use the tools that organizations use for investments. So it's not so much ROI, it's net present value. So to deal with the preoccupations that we now have with finance, you have to get into the finance business.
What are some financial tools and concepts that HR should know about?
The two basic ones are discounted cash flow. Discounted cash flow is a tool that's used for long-term investments. And if you want to make the case that HR is an investment, not just a cost, it's an investment, you have to use tools like discounted cash flow. Second one, the biggest obstacle to HR is the way that the finance people think about HR. HR is seen as an expense. So you also have to understand financial accounting and how the financial accounting people treat HR. So the two things, fundamental discounted cash flow and financial accounting.